Hey folks, I'm Jackson, and I wanted to share the story with you about my worst D&D campaign that I ran as a dungeon master, and yeah, it involves President Trump. Now, if it makes you feel any better, you can replace Donald Trump with Joe Biden as the character in this campaign that I ran, and I would have the same critiques about it. I'm not here to talk about the politics, although I know we'll do that in the comments. Go for it. But this is about the game and the mistakes that I made. Now, this game happened in 2016, right after the election, so we're November, December. I'm living in a very blue city. Me and a bunch of my young liberal buddies are obviously distraught about the results, and I get this wacky idea of like, okay, what if we do something? Hey you two, hey you, how would you like to be in a D&D party that gets to fight Donald Trump? And we're like, yeah, this is a great idea. What could possibly go wrong? Most things went wrong. Let's talk about it. Now, I do actually have the old notes that I kept for making the campaign. It lasted about 4 sessions. It involved starting in a tavern where everybody was kind of coming by and hearing the minstrel of the town, of this dwarf city, come in and say, hear ye, the new mayor elected is Hank Adamant. Okay, so I describe Hank Adamant and insert Orange Man bad jokes here. That was the thing. Yes, I did a voice. Everyone, or half the people in the town are pissed at this, and they're doing a protest, and then the players get to kind of externalize their feelings about the real world election of Donald Trump through their characters in the tavern and say, oh man, we don't like this Hank Adamant guy. Somebody should do something. Maybe we could get together and do a thing as a party. And then Barack Obama Dwarf comes in as the quest giver. And yes, I did a voice for him. And he presents this ancient hammer. This is basically the scepter of the dwarven mayor. And it has emblazoned on it the promise to the people to protect them and to be a servant leader. And Barack Obama Dwarf says, why don't some heroes go into Hank Adamant's underground tower and make him feel the full weight of this hammer? Wink. So the party does this. They have their quest. We run through some protesters, you break into the tower, you go through the tower, there's a stealth section. We're not getting into all that. Yes, the enemies have these red hats. I think I made some red cap jokes. There was some kind of mind control going on with the red hats that they could undo. Yeah. Fast forward to big boss fight. Hank Adamant. You get to fight him and some minions. But wait, you can't kill him. Killing him would be wrong. Violence is not the answer. Make him aware of his leadership and his responsibility to the dwarf town. No, really, you can't kill him. Hang on, guys, you can't kill him. I have a theme going here. Campaign over. Bye. So, this sucked. It was entirely anticlimactic, and the worst part is that I was pushing a theme on the players. Maybe I didn't, there were options for how they could fight and how they could get through the underground tower dungeon and how they would deliver the hammer. But I emotionally railroaded them into this West Wing liberal idea of like, no, you must tell him he will be nice and everything will be better, guys. We're gonna get through this. Ooh. And that just doesn't work. Now I am not condoning violence in the real world. Political violence is not the answer. But in D&D, the place where your party can get together, and yes, you can overthrow the tyrant, and yes, you can kill them, and yes, there's a bigger discussion about the way that we utilize kings and monarchies and leaders in our fantasy worlds, but we weren't getting into that here. It was an extremely shallow, poorly thought out portrayal of real world politics in a game, and I wouldn't even let my players kind of have the catharsis and the role-playing power to play it out in this universe to see what they would do differently in a fantasy world. So that is the big mess up from this session. On top of that, there were scheduling issues. The players that started out in session 1 were not the same players that were playing in session 4. I had a Metal Gear Solid stealth section in part of the dungeon, which does not work well in 5e D&D. You got to do a lot of work with that. The whole red hats thing and the mind control and trying to undo that was a mess. It just didn't work, but it comes back to I didn't give my players the options. I didn't let them role play. I decided there was one ending that had to be had, and I brought it back to a political theme. So rather than talk about all the good takeaways and how I would do it better, I just went ahead and ran another Donald Trump critical session in 2025. So this happened as kind of a villain of the week in my giant 4-year spanning Ravenloft campaign, Balls of Borca. At this point, the characters are level 17. One of them is named Inarius Bloodmane. He is a drow. He has escaped Minzo Baranzan years ago and gotten himself into the nobility of Borca, and now he's kind of a wayward freedom fighter. And I decided to bring back some of that drow element. I already had this in place. I already had some groundwork, and I decided that what was going to come up was his sister, Iovia, Io for short, reasserting control over not just the drow lands, but she is going to come into Borca and claim domain over that and over its citizens. And then it dawned on me to start putting in some very Trumpish rhetoric towards her. So already, rather than making a bunch of Orange Man bad jokes, I am working within the lore established by some more canon Dungeons and Dragons stuff. We've got Lolth and Minzo Baranzan and the Drow. We've got some Borca and Ravenloft stuff going on, and I am just putting the aspects of fascism and tyranny, melding that together with what we already have going on with Drow, with what's happening in the real world, to create a villain that is not going to be here for a long time. Not a campaign villain, not even an adventure villain, but just one time, here she is, explain why she's bad, let the characters and the players role play why they think she's bad and why they can come together against her and fight her. And I let them fight her however they wanted to. We had some backstory discussion, me and Inarius, the Drow Guys player, about what Io should be like. And this all made sense within the fiction of the world. And it was enough where the players didn't catch on what I was doing until about 10 minutes into Io speaking. And they're like, oh, we got you. Okay, let's do this. And they liked it. They were down. This went out better. Now, Io also wasn't a pushover in the fight. That was one big thing, is I didn't want to focus so much on the theme and the political aspect. I wanted to make a good, great boss fight first, and then add in the political real-world through line. Io was carrying a luck blade. She had already used one wish. She was going to use a second wish during the fight. The best thing that she could come up with in her mind for that wish on the spot when cornered was to make a clone of herself in the fight, which is pretty strong when you're doing this in a boss fight, but kind of pathetic from a personal standpoint of where Io's viewpoint is. There was a giant Eldar drow tree from Arvanor that was sprouting into the world, and its magic was flowing throughout the fight. So I had an environment turn, a layer turn that was doing something different. The druid character at the table was able to start noticing things about the tree and try to manipulate its energies, to manipulate the layer turn against Io and her drow. And her drow army included a guy riding a deep dragon that was protecting her. That was annoying for them to deal with. She had an army of masked Thunder? I forget the name of the drow god right now that is basically like over the male drow. fighters, but they were a swarm that were masked up, used poison gas attacks and blunted arrow attacks. So again, my players were like, we see what you're doing. Let's get them. And by the way, I also had a Sphere of Annihilation with the Talisman of Annihilation. So it was a very tough fight in between her spouting off her plans for Borka and what it would mean, and them getting to respond back in character with everything built up, not just one-off characters for this one occasion, but with everything they had going on, invested in this world that, no, you're not going to take it, you're not going to change it this way. This is our place, and here's why you are wrong and why we are killing you. And if they wanted to kill Io, they could. And if they wanted to somehow spare her or use a luck blade wish on her or something, they could. But no, they did wind up defeating her and killing her, and that made perfect sense in the story. To wrap this up, I actually went to my players after the game and said, okay, so I tried something, a little weird here. I brought in some real world politics on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being cringe, 10 being based. How did this part work for you? Not the overall session, which we agreed was amazing, but just this part of it, take it or leave it. What do you think? 1 player said 6, 2 players said 7, and 1 player said 8. So, did I do a great, amazing job with this? Is this a silver bullet for a wonderful D&D game? No, it's something you have to be extremely careful with, I think. But for me to average out at a 7 on this and an amazing campaign with a 7 out of 10 villain that is now defeated and gone and brought the party together at a time when they were starting to fall apart, I think this did great. So please be careful with the real world politics that you're bringing into your D&D games, but also maybe have some serious reflection on why your villains are evil, why they are lawful, or what makes them chaotic, and why the heroes should be fighting in this and the role of violence in your game. Those are all mega discussions that can be had later, maybe by somebody else, maybe in the comments below. No matter who you are, I hope you have a wonderful game this week. I hope you stay safe in real life. I hope you have a nat 20 day. Bye-bye.